Finals of the women's all-round apparatus, and we're starting with the vault, and with the young girl from China, Yang Bo, doing her first vault, which was a round-off back handspring, a back somersault in the straight position, and landing it perfectly. This young Chinese gymnast, the Chinese have completely changed their team to these young girls, and there we see a very fine vault from this very small Chinese girl, Yang Bo, and the girls have to do 2 different vaults in this final for the medals for this apparatus. And there's her first score, a 9.80, very high score for her first vault. And as she prepares herself for the second vault, lots of concentration needed. They have to be very accurate in this very short time. They have to complete. And there we see the round-off back somersault in the straight position, not landing perfectly, a slight step back, and she'll not be very happy with that landing in the second attempt of her vault. And here we see the slow motion replay of the round-off onto the board, back handspring, very high straight somersault, but just not quite landing it perfectly. And there's her score, a 9.70, quite a high score. And next up is Trudy Nurse from Australia, her first attempt, a round-off back somersault in the tuck position, not quite getting the required height, a little over-rotating, not enough thrust off the horse, and a big step back on landing. She won't be very happy with that first attempt. And there's the score, a 9.1. And here's her second attempt. 2 vaults, 2 different vaults the girls have to do in this final competition. And here's her second vault. A round-off back handspring and back somersault with a full twist, landing very low on landing, but managing to stand still. A very difficult vault. Gets the thrust off necessary, but touches with the hands and lands in a very low squat position. And there's her score, another 9.1. Li on her first attempt. Oh, very good vault there. A round-off back handspring, back somersault with a full twist to stand perfectly still. Very, very good vault from this young Chinese gymnast. Very accurate, good thrust off the horse, beautiful full twist, and lands standing perfectly still. She'll be well pleased with that vault. And there's the score, a 9.70 for her first attempt. Preparing herself for her second vault. Lots of concentration. And here we go with this young Chinese girl. A different vault. The same vault in the tuck position, but not quite landing it properly. Having to step slightly back to adjust the landing. Otherwise, quite a nice vault. And here we see the slow motion replay. Round off, back handspring, a full twist in the tuck position, and there's that slight step back on landing. And just awaiting the score for that second vault, and there we see a 9.6, her final score, 9.650. Quite a high mark for that young Chinese girl. And next up is the Canadian gymnast, Kerry Kanuka, who will be attempting her first vault in the final of the vaulting apparatus competition. very ungainly run, but a very fine vault. A round off, back handspring, back somersault in the straight position, a Sukahara vault, and landing in perfect style, good control, and a very fine vault. And there she is, adjusting the board for her second vault, and her score was 9.525. And here's the second vault. A round off, back handspring, back somersault in the tuck position, just a slight adjustment on landing, a slight step back. There's her coach explaining the technical points of the vault. And there's her score, a 9.5375 for her final score. And now from Korea is Park Ju-suk. Let's see what this young Korean girl can perform. Half on, back somersault off in the straight position, the Sukahara vault in the straight position. Quite a good vault, it's only just the landing. Otherwise, technically, quite a good vault. Here's the half turn on, thrust off, back somersault in the straight position, gets a little bit mixed up in the join of the mats, and I'm sure the coach will sort that out. And there's her score, 9.525. And she will now do a different vault on her second attempt. And here she goes. Lots of preparation. A half on, followed by a back somersault with a full twist in the tuck position, a Sukahara vault in the tuck position. Still not quite managing to land it perfectly, only a slight step back. And here we see the slow motion replay, legs a little bit apart, and there's that step back on landing. So we're just waiting for the score, and there it is, a 9.60. And next up, another Korean young girl, Kim Nam-ok, on her first attempt at the vault. Half on, back somersault in the straight position, a Sukahara, straight. Quite a good vault. Just not landing perfectly still at the end, just that slight jump back will only cost her 0.1 to 0.2 in the final mark. And there it is, 9.475 for her first attempt. And now a different vault. Obviously thinking about that landing. Half on, Sukahara vault in the tuck position. Didn't quite manage to land it perfectly, a little low down, but otherwise quite a difficult vault. And here we see the slow motion replay. Half on the horse, back somersault, full twist in the tuck position, very low on landing, and has to step sideways to finish it off. Obviously hurt her ankle, and there's a score, 9.475 for her vault mark. And the next gymnast up from USA is Christy Henbridge. Very powerful girl, beautiful vault there. A round off, back handspring, full twist in a straight position, and landing perfectly still. Very good vault from this young American girl. Good thrust off the horse, perfect position in the air, and lands it perfectly still. She'll get a high mark for that vault. and she'll be very pleased. And there we are, a 9.70 for her first vault, and a good attack on the second vault will put her in the medal places, I'm sure. And here we go. Beautiful vault, nice and high, somersault in the tuck position with a full twist. Just a slight jump back on landing, but very, very good thrust off the top of the horse. Lots of height, good attack in the vault. Just that slight little jump on landing, very happy, and a little wave to the TV camera as we await her score. And there's the coaches congratulating her. And there's the score, 9.675. Very high score for that young American, Christy Hendrich. And there, as we look at the final score in the vault, Young Bo winning the gold medal for China, Wu Li from China winning the silver, and Park Nak-suk from Korea winning the bronze. And first up for Japan is Miki Mori, performing here on even bar exercise. The girls have to move from bar to bar with releases, swing and flight. And here she is preparing for her dismount. Not quite making the landing, having to step sideways, but otherwise quite a reasonable exercise for this young Japanese girl. And as we see the slow motion replay of that difficult Jaeger somersault, and immediately transferring onto the low bar, handstand half turn, slight hesitation before moving to the high bar, a long swing, followed by a stoop on, shoot front somersault in the tuck position with a half turn. And there's her score, a 9.4250. And next up for Canada, this very small girl starts her routine. And there we see very original movement there. Thomas flares on the bar. And this young girl has some very original movements on the bar. Very exciting. And here we see her preparing for her dismount. Very fine double somersault with a full twist in the tuck position. Charlotte Pipey from Canada, this very small, petite looking young girl. And as we see the slow motion replay, some of her difficult parts in her routine. This long swing, followed by a ginger, recatching the bar, half turning, and again turning, releasing to the bottom bar, and there's her final score, 9.650. And next up on the bars is the young Chinese girl, Yang Yu. And these young Chinese girls doing some very exciting work on these uneven bars. A Jaeger somersault there, releasing and catching with the legs together. Back catch off, very difficult movement. And a very fine finish, a double somersault in the straight position, just a slight step back on landing. Very good exercise from this young Chinese girl, Yang Yu. And there's that release and catch, very high somersault, straight onto the low bar, continues her exercise, moves to the high bar, swings to handstand, back catch off, very difficult for girls, and there's her score, very high, 9.875. Very good mark for the young Chinese girl. And here's her teammate, young Bo, to perform her bar routine. Let's see what she can produce on this very exciting piece of apparatus. There's that Jaeger somersault, but done this time in the straddle position. Slight overbalance there in the handstand. Manages to correct herself and finishing with a fine tuck double somersault, only that little jump at the end on landing. A big smile there from the young Chinese girl, young Bo. Beautiful style and lots of swing. Prepares herself for her double somersault finish. There we see it, and there's just that light step forward, and there's her score, 9.750. Very high score for a beautiful bar routine. And from Canada, the next gymnast is Koyuki Oka. Prepares herself for that bar exercise. Let's see what she can produce. A reverse long swing. Very difficult hand changes into long swing on the low bar. Very small girl for a Canadian. King of somersault. She has the difficulty there, but a slight stop in the exercise there will cost her in her final mark. And there's a very difficult finish, a double somersault with a full twist in the tuck position. It's a pity about that slight mistake, and there another little mistake, bent arms during that long swing. Fine combination there, followed by a release to the bottom bar, an immediate long swing. Continues onto the high bar. And here we see that King of somersault, and there's her score, a 9.250 for the young Canadian gymnast. Next up, the Korean girl, Pak Chu Suk. Straight into a very difficult movement. A straddle in and out, followed by a catch-off, straddle over the low bar. Lots of content in this bar routine. And there's a very fine exercise, finishing with a front somersault, half turn in the tuck position. Just that little step on landing. Very pleased with that. Nice smile from the gymnast. Fine catch-off, back straddle over the bar, very difficult movement. Immediately onto the low bar, straddle in and out, followed by stoop, swing onto the high bar, straight into handstand, long swing, stoop on, shoot front somersault with a half turn. And there's her final score, 9.650. And the next gymnast up from USA, Sandy Woosley. Straight into her long swings. There's her coach standing by for that very difficult back straddle over the low bar. Good swing. There's a pirouette, a full twist and pirouette on the top of the bar, followed by immediate long swing, double somersault. Very pleased with the exercise. Big smiles and congratulated by her coach. And there's her score, 9.750. And next up, from Australia, is very experienced gymnast. Beautiful back straddle. Good style and swing. Well done, Monique. Alien from Australia. Beautiful exercise there. And here we see Monique perform that full pirouette. Beautiful style throughout her exercise. Nice back catch off. Turns, releases, over the low bar. Stoops, swings to the high bar. And there's her score, a 9.80, very high score. And in the medal position, Yang Yu, the gold, Alan, Australia, the silver, and Yang Bo from China, the bronze. On to the next piece of apparatus, the balance beam, and starting off with the Chinese gymnast, this young Chinese gymnast. Wu Lai. The girls have to be very accurate on this piece of gymnastic apparatus. And there we see some very fine tumbling movements, combination of back handsprings on the beam. They have to be very accurate and show good balance. And here she is, preparing for her finish. Double cut somersault finish, a very difficult dismount, a round off followed by a high double somersault in the tuck position. And there's her start again, very difficult start, to back somersault onto the beam. Back handspring, back somersault, and another back somersault. Very difficult combination, not quite keeping square to the beam, only a slight hesitation. Very fine split leap. And her score for the beam exercise, 9.725. And the next gymnast up will be from USA. Very fine start there. Christy Hendricks. Combination of jumps. The girls have to show grace, good style, accuracy, and of course balance. And there's a fine combination of back handsprings followed by a back somersault. Very difficult jump there. There's her handstand balance. Changing position. Prepares herself now for her final combination of movements. Back handspring, back somersault, and finishing with a tuck somersault. I'm sure she is going to do a little bit more difficultly at the end of her routine there, but not quite in the right position. And here we see the slow motion replay of some of those fine gymnastic movements along the beam. And here's her final tumble along the beam and missing out on that finish, but fine exercise, and there's her score, 9.40. And next up for Canada is this very small gymnast, Kuruyuki Uka, and starts with a very unusual start there, a double leg circle, like the men's pommel horse work on the end of the beam. Very expressive, lots of good arm movements, and prepares herself for her tumbles. 2 back handsprings followed by back somersault, but not quite right, and falling off the beam, which will lose her half a point in the final score. Composes herself, a double spin, and she's off again, and she's having a terrible night here on this balance beam. Two split leaps. Handspring. Very fine back somersault onto one leg. Again a back somersault. And now just preparing herself for her dismount. Double tuck somersault, and completes the double somersault and stands still. And as we watch her perform some of her gymnastic movements in slow motion, back handspring, and the somersault, not quite right on landing, and eventually falls off. Just awaiting the score of that young Canadian gymnast. And here we see her second fall off, and there's her score, 8.625. Not a very high score, and she'll be disappointed. And the next one up on the beam is the gymnast from Korea, Park Ji-suk, performing a very fine handstand balance on the end of the beam, followed by a series of jumps. And now her back handspring, back somersault, just a little wobble on landing. A full spin. Some nice little jumps. Shows her flexibility. Preparing herself for another somersault, followed by a forward handspring. Getting ready for her final dismount, double somersault, very fine double somersault, only a little step back on landing, but she'll be very pleased with that. No fall-offs. And here we see some slow motion replays, just that little wobble on landing there. A very fine score, 9.5. It's Cheryl Dundas. A round off back handspring, very fine combination of gymnastic movements. Change leg split leap. Nice pose there. Series of jumps. preparing herself for her standing back somersault, again a back somersault, showing good control in the handstand. Very nice position there from Cheryl. And here she is with finish a series of movements along the beam. Very difficult, 2 back handsprings, back somersault, and a full twist off the beam to land standing still. Very good exercise from the American gymnast. And here we see the slow motion replay of them combination movements. And the score for that beam exercise is 9.675. Very high score, and she'll be very pleased with that mark there. Next up, from Korea, starting with a very difficult mount, round off back somersault onto the beam. And here we see her preparing for her tumbling along the beam, back handspring, back somersault by Bun Mai from Korea. Handstand turn. Nice body wave. Works her way to the end of the beam for another tumble, a back somersault, slight adjustment on landing, but recovers. Preparing herself for her dismount. A round off, double tuck back somersault, just a slight step forward. Quite a good beam exercise, no fall-offs. And here we see the slow motion, back somersault onto the beam, just a little step back on landing. Series of split leaps, and her score for that exercise, 9.55. And next up, this young Canadian gymnast, starting on the end of the beam. Thomas flares, very, very difficult movement on the beam. This young, petite gymnast from Canada. Full turn. Very good jumps there, very steady and accurate. Charlotte Pipe, B. Back somersault from the standing position. Again a back somersault. Jump to handstand. Backward roll to handstand, followed by immediate back handspring, backward roll to handstand. Fine combination of movements there along this 4-inch beam. And only her finish to complete her exercise. A back somersault with 3 twists, very, very difficult. And quite a very good exercise from this young Canadian gymnast. And here we see some of the combination movements along the beam. The back roll to handstand. And her score showing up on that far scoreboard there, a 9.45. And next up from China is Yang Bo, starting on the end of the beam, pressing to handstand. very accurate and very good amplitude, lots of flexibility. I'm sure we're going to see a nice beam exercise here. Back handspring, back somersault, followed by another back somersault. Lands it perfectly still. You'll be well pleased with that tumbling movement. Free walkover, jump, and a little slight mistake there on landing. Very difficult movement there, a back somersault, full twist to straddle the beam. Very high difficulty in the middle of the exercise. Lots of movement using her body and arms, and only her finish now to complete this beautiful exercise on the beam. Double somersault and just a slight step back. Very good exercise from this young Chinese, young Bo. Being congratulated by her coach. And here we see the very difficult full twisting back somersault to straddle the beam. The gymnast must have to be very accurate to stay on the beam after completing that very fine movement. And here we see her preparing herself for the dismount, the double back somersault. A round off, jump, double somersault in the tuck position, and just that step back on landing. High score there, 9.8250, and the final result on the balance beam, young Bo, gold medal, Wee Lai, the silver, Dundas, USA, the bronze. And the final event for these girls in this competition, the all apparatus finals, is the floor, and starting off for USA is Cheryl Dundas. Fine double pike somersault there, her opening run. This tall girl from USA shows good appreciation of the music, and coming back across the diagonal for a second tumble. Back somersault, full twist, followed by a front somersault, which she didn't quite complete, and having to step back. But this very lively music, very good choreography. And only her final tumble to finish this floor exercise, as Cheryl performs a fine double twist to finish, and a nice gymnastic pose to finish the exercise. Only that slight step back on the second tumble, the back somersault with a full twist, followed by the front. And there's her coach there. And as we see the slow motion replay, we can see once again there's a very high full twist, but not quite making the front somersault, and a little stagger back, and there's the score, an 8.950. And the second gymnast up is from Japan, Okai Takakura, waiting for her music to begin. Works her way to the corner, and here she goes on her first tumbling pass. Very difficult double back somersault with a full twist in the first one. Pirouettes in the handstand position. The girls have to use all of the floor area during the maximum 1.5 minutes. And there's a front somersault onto one leg, followed by a back handspring, then a double twist. The exercise going quite well for her so far. As she gets ready for her last pass on the floor. A triple twist, not quite making it, but very good exercise there from the young Japanese girl. Very pleased and full of smiles. And here we see the slow motion replay of her first pass, the double back somersault. Her score 9.625, very high score. And next up for Canada is Kerry Kanuka. And this powerful looking gymnast from Canada. I'm sure we're going to see a very fine floor exercise. There she goes on the first tumble front. Walk out, followed by a double tuck somersault. Nice high jump. A second pass, another front, followed by a handspring, full twist and front somersault in the straight position. Very good combination. Good appreciation of the music as Cheryl, as she goes to complete her last tumble. Double somersault, lands it, finishes off with a handstand, pirouette, and a very dramatic finish at the end there. Very good exercise from this young Canadian, Carol Kanuka, and we're just awaiting the score as we watch the slow motion replay of the finish tumble, the double back somersault, and there's a very high score, 9.70, Young Bo, and I'm sure this is going to be a very exciting floor routine. Young Bo from China. Very difficult start there, a double somersault with a full twist and a pike position. And the music suits this little gymnast. She looks as if she's enjoying this floor routine. A second pass. Oh, very good combination of movements there. Whip back somersaults, double twist and coming back in the same direction. Showing her flexibility. Very good joining moves, and only her last tumble to complete the routine. Having a little rest there in the corner. Very high double tuck, just making it. Oh, good exercise from the young Chinese gymnast, Yang Bo. big smile, and there's her teammate congratulating her. And here's the slow motion replay of that final tumble run. The whip back somersault, followed by the double twist, immediate punch front. There's a very high score, 9.850. Excellent mark there for a very fine routine on the floor from Yang Bo. And next up, her teammate, Jiang Sha from China, number 13. And here's her first opening. Double back somersault with a full twist in the first somersault. Using all the floor area to express her floor routine. And here she goes with a second pass. A whip back followed by 2 back handsprings and a double somersault. Just a light mistake at the end of the double. And here's her last tumbling run across the diagonal, a tuck double somersault, followed by a high dive forward roll, and a very fine finish. And now we'll just await her final score as we watch the slow motion replay of her opening pass, the double somersault, and there's her score, 9.750. Very high score. And the next gymnast, number 26, Park Ju-suk from Korea. Very fine double pike somersault to start her routine. Very original combination in the joining movements. Dances her way to the corner to prepare herself for a second tumbling pass. Front somersault, walk out, back handspring, double twist. Very expressive and good choreography in this floor exercise from this young Korean. And here she comes with her finish, a double tuck somersault, lands it very nice, and good finish there. Quite a good floor exercise, no mistakes. She'll get a very high score as we watch the last tumble run, the double pike somersault. Beautiful high split leaps. She doesn't look very happy as she puts on her t-shirt, awaiting her score. She must have... There's the score, 9.6250 for the young Korean girl, Park Ju-suk. And the next up, from Canada, the very small gymnast, Koyuki Oka. Double somersault with a full twist, but steps out of the floor area, which will be a deduction of 0.1 in the final score. Oh, very cute little bounces there. Combination of straddle jumps and front somersaults. Second pass, very high, tucked double somersault. Series of split leaps sideways. Completes the exercise. Very determined look, no smiles. Last tumble run, front, walk out, double twist, punch front, followed by single twist, front somersault to finish. Oh, very cute exercise. Pity about the step out and a little hesitation on the combination movements as we watch the slow motion replay. Front somersault walk out, back handspring, double twist, immediate punch front, straight into a back handspring, full twist, front somersault. And there's her score, 9.70, a very high score for that young Canadian. And here's the final result of the floor. Young Bo from China, the gold, young Xia from China, the silver, and Kanuka from Canada, the bronze. And that completes the all apparatus individual finals for women. A very fine exhibition of gymnastics at a high level, and I'm sure we've all enjoyed it, and we hope to see you in our next gymnastic competition in the future.
For the men's finals of the Pacific Alliance Gymnastics competition, please join us Sunday, March the 5th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time here on TSN.